All right, everyone. So the image you're seeing on the screen right now is CM Punk trolling Drew McIntyre in the same way that Drew McIntyre trolled him when CM Punk got hurt. Drew trolls him. CM Punk screws Drew McIntyre again. He starts trolling him. In we wanted to use this video not just to talk about that, but to talk about this feud in general because I've seen a lot on Twitter. A lot of people on Twitter are not necessarily happy with the fact that Drew McIntyre lost again. They wanted to see him carry the belt, they wanted to see him win the belt. But I think what wrestling fans have to keep in mind is that it's like when you're watching a TV series or a movie and, they're deciding whether to kill a character off or not. If a TV show or series kills characters off and then brings them back, it makes the entirety of the movie you're watching meaningless, or this TV series you're watching meaningless, because in the end, that the good guys are going to win, or whoever this character that got killed off is going to come back anyways. And it basically makes every scene you watch meaningless because you're sitting there going, well, this guy's going to come back alive anyway, so who cares? There's no emotion attached to this guy dying. Whereas, if you take like Star Wars, for example, I mean, how many of these Jedis have you seen, or even the Sith, right? When Darth Maul gets killed, you just go down the list of, you really have characters dying that it means something because they die. And I think what I'm saying with this, how it applies to this wrestling feud, is that if CM Punk screwing Drew McIntyre, if all it meant was a little bump in the road, but then in the end, Drew still wins, you wouldn't get that hatred feeling between the two, because people would be like, well, did he really screw him that much? Or he's winning anyway, so who cares? They are building real hatred between the two. This has been something that has been going on for months. And the beauty of what they've done with it is, even with injuries, okay, both Drew and CM Punk have been injured in some way during this time. Even with injuries, they've been able to keep this feud alive through social media or just through little things like we saw in the last pay-per-view. So I understand people want to see Drew McIntyre or even CM Punk be champ. I understand that some people are not necessarily pleased with, Damian Priest wins off the Money in the Bank and then he wins by CM Punk, screwing Drew McIntyre. I understand that might make some people upset, but just think about what the ramifications of what is going on actually has for WWE. As viewers watching this, we now are like, hey, this stuff has real consequence when it happens. Meaning, just because, Drew McIntyre, this seems like a place that he's going to win that championship, it doesn't mean he's going to. Because WWE is building those real storylines. This was the beauty of the Attitude Era. Nobody knew what the hell was going to happen because there was twists and turns at every, even Steve Austin, he was champion many times. We get that. But there was a lot of times where Stone Cold, may have won the fight because he beat someone up after the match or he beat somebody up on Monday Night Raw. But there were plenty of times where Austin didn't win. There were plenty of times when Vince McMahon and the corporation technically won the bout. Or you remember between Mankind and The Rock, you have Mankind, in the I Quit match, and they basically faked Mankind saying I quit. That's the kind of stuff. It builds real story. It builds real, like, you have to pay attention because you can't just predict. When something, like in wrestling, when something becomes predictable, or in a TV show, when it becomes predictable, you don't like it as much. And I think people should keep that in mind when they're talking about this feud, because WWE is having real consequences to it, right? They're building it with real consequence, so people actually care about it, and I think they're doing a great job. So thank you all for watching. We will see you next.